Tax competitiveness in BC has seen its position slip considerably, particularly as it relates to our export industries. Given that Canada's debt level has increased despite a relatively strong economy, there is concern about the precedent set by not having balanced budgets and how it may impact future government spending initiatives. What is your plan to ensure Canada's debt burden remains low and affordable today and for future generations?
Canada has low, if not the lowest, taxation rates in the G7, especially multinational corporations. We believe that large companies need to pay their fair share of taxes. As for the theory that lower taxes will create employment, is simply not true. There's no evidence to support it. One of the most effective taxes that lays burden on business is the HST, or harmonized sales tax. If we could harmonize our VAT, or value-added tax, we could raise considerable revenue to pay down our debt. We believe also that raising the corporate tax rates back to where they were in the 1990s would offer corporations the opportunity to alleviate the burden from small business and employees. This would also level the playing field for small businesses to compete with the large firms. Another issue that has been identified is the subsidies granted to resource export companies has proven to be a strain on our economic system. These subsidies have unfairly cost our economy multiple billions of dollars, propping up companies that otherwise would have created sustainable business models instead of relying on government subsidy.
Well, I think that's a very important question in this election is what are we going to do with the deficit? Justin Trudeau in the last election promised that there would be a balanced budget in 2019. He's over $30 billion blown past that promise. He has spent money at an unprecedented rate, growing the size of government, and I think most Canadians would say they don't have a lot to show for it. We've committed to balancing the budget within 5 years. We would like to do it sooner, but the deficit has been out of control, and we need to ensure that we protect the programs that Canadians have come to rely on. So when you have deficits and when you're adding to the debt, you're adding costs to Canadian taxpayers. For instance, the current national debt, the debt payments on that are about $30 billion a year. That's approaching how much we spend on health care from the federal government in this country. So if you continue to increase the debt and increase the deficit, you're taking money away from the programs that Canadians have come to rely upon. And the only way to, if you keep these deficits going out of control, the only way you pay them back is by raising taxes or cutting programs. So that's why I think you need to have responsible spending so that you can get back to a balanced budget, stop adding to the debt, and start paying it down again.
The Liberal government is committed into investing into what matters most. Good paying jobs, investing into our seniors to make sure that they can retire in comfort, investing into our families, raising the lower income up to the middle class. We've done this with the child tax benefit, where we brought 300,000 children out of poverty in the last 4 years. We need to continue to make sure that we are investing in the people that need it the most. Affordable housing, creating good paying jobs, ensuring that our seniors can retire in confidence, providing a fair pharmacare program where prescription drugs are affordable for all, the meanwhile building our economy. These are promises that the Liberal government wants to continue to build on in the next 4 years. And I am committed as your MP to make sure that Chilliwack Hope is not left behind and our community is invested into as well.
Yeah, and this is something the PPC cares an awful lot about. We consider any type of deficit spending, unless it's for short-term emergencies, to basically be a form of taxation without representation on future generations. And if we actually want to give the future a fighting chance, we should be bringing our deficits and our debts under control, and this is a real problem. What we want to do is put certain things on the chopping block, like business subsidies. There was a study done in 2013 from Calgary University that basically found that our subsidies, both direct and indirect, for businesses is about $16 billion. Now, if we look through those and find which ones are good versus which ones could probably be done away with, we could maybe, save $8 billion just there. Immigration, according to professor from Simon Fraser, now retired, he looked at it and he calculated that there was about a $30 billion drag on the economy right now due to the imbalance between the incomes of new immigrants versus, the native-born Canadians. And there's lots of reasons for this, but that basically means that they wind up having more service money going out versus the amount of money coming in, more expenditure versus revenue. And it's about a $30 billion issue. That's per year. Now, if we can fine-tune the immigration and make it work more in our favor, we can cut a lot of that out. Then we just have to start looking at all the other areas where there's been tremendous waste within our system. I mean, earlier, last year, I think, or perhaps earlier this year, we had the Trudeau government revealed that they had already authorized an $18 million investment into a private airport for a private golf course. I have no idea how you justify that. My understanding is it was since canceled because people were outraged by it. But these kinds of spending announcements make virtually no sense. And we should be looking at a whole lot of the ways that we do our financing and see, well, where can we cut? What can we cut that's not going to actually hurt and impact, the typical Canadian?